everybody. We're always planning to take over everybody, everything. And there are no obstacles that cannot be overcome. So we only have about 1,000 people in here. We can fill it up in a few weeks. So in any case, so we remember we're out in front of the whole world for Christ. It's not and that we don't have any less goals. No less goals are tolerated. The epistle for this Easter Sunday is taken from the first epistle of St. Paul to Corinthians, chapter 5. Brethren, purge out the old leaven, that you may be a new paste, as you are unleavened, for Christ our apostle is sacrificed. Therefore let us feast not with the old leaven, nor with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. In the Gospel, taking that according to St. Mark, chapter 16. At that time, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James and Salome, brought sweet spices, that coming they might anoint Jesus. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they come to the sepulchre, the sun being now risen. And they said one to another, who shall roll back the stone from the door of the sepulchre? And looking, they saw the stone rolled back, for it was very great. And entering into the sepulchre, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, and clothed with a white robe. And they were astonished, who said to them, Be not affrighted. You seek Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He is risen. He is not here. Behold the place where they laid him. But go, tell his disciples and Peter that he goeth before you into Galilee, and there you shall see him as he told you. Thus were the words of today's Holy Gospel. Glory to the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Today, this most sacred feast of Easter, we have a mystery, a consideration of mystery of faith. That we have holy women. Holy women are on their way to the tomb, and they are going to find Christ. We have many souls looking for Christ. They're going to find Christ. When they arrive, they're going to see a man they never saw before. He's going to tell them, you've come to the wrong place to find Christ. You came to a sepulchre, you came to a tomb, you came to anoint a dead body. You came to the wrong place. Like when you're driving on the road, and you're going to look for a certain house. You drive to the wrong place. Drive in. Remember one time when I was a newly ordained priest, it was my second or third time going back to one of the parishioners' houses. I lived in a subdivision where each house, each street is the same name. You know, I think it was what, something court, something lane, something boulevard, and all the same name. I didn't know whether it was a court, lane, boulevard, street, avenue. They're all the same, and the houses were all identical. I pulled up to what I thought was the right house. I looked at the door, and there was a table sitting in the right spot. The door was open, and the table was the exact same table in the right spot back in the kitchen. I walked in, and some stranger came around the house and said, "What are you doing here? Get out of my house." I was one block over, and they had the same taste in furniture. They had the same paint on the wall, one is the same design, with the exact same table, exact same chairs that this house, and the door was open. So sometimes we know we're going to the right place. We're going to find someone, and you think you're in the place where he is. Because it's the place where you remember he was before. The last time you saw him, he was in this place. And so you go to that place. You know for sure he's there, especially because he's dead. And a recent medical survey discovered dead men don't talk, dead men don't walk, dead men are relatively stable. Living men are unstable. You never know what they're going to do. But dead men are pretty stable. They're pretty reliable. And the last time they saw him, he was dead. The last time they saw him, he was in that place. And there were 100 guards to guard to make sure he stayed in that place. And there was a heavy stone that covered that tomb to make sure he stayed in that place. And there was a decree from Caiaphas that said, let him not leave that place. And they sealed the stone. And then there was the decree of the priests and the bishops who said, we're not going to touch him because it's not safe to go where he is. We're not knowing where he is. The apostles were afraid to go where he is. And the holy women were not afraid. And they tried to go to the place where he was. But they weren't interested in the place. They were going to find him. And hence, they were mistaken. They were wrong. They were in error. They did not know the truth. And they came to where they thought he was. When they arrived, they saw a man they never saw before. This is the right place. I checked the address. This is where he was buried. He has to be here. And so they came to the place. And here is their grave mistake. They were seeking Christ. And they thought they knew where he would be. They thought that he had to be in that place. They were so sure that he had to be in that tomb. And they went to visit him. Then the apostles did not visit him because they were sure he was in that place and it was an unsafe place. And so some did not visit him because they knew where he was. And others did visit him because they knew where they was. And they were wrong. They were so wrong. And yet, some would find him that day, and others would not. As it says at the end of the world, when Christ comes, one shall be taken, another shall be left. One shall be taken, another shall be left. Which shall be taken? Which shall be left behind? God knows which souls are searching for him with the right heart. He knows which souls are not searching for him with the right heart. And so he hides himself. On the one side, he should be angry. He should at least be very gravely disappointed. Because he told everyone, search for me after 3 days in a tomb. You won't find me there because I will not be dead. I shall conquer death. I shall go to death of my own choosing. I shall be dead for 3 days, and on the third day I shall rise. And when I rise, it shall be the conquering of death. And don't be a fool and look for me in that place. Now notice, there are two places that we should not be confused about. One is the place that we must always visit, and one is the place that he never departs from. And that is Golgotha. That is the rock of Golgotha. That is the place of the cross. But the other is a place where he only stayed for a brief time. It says in the books 3 days. In fact, it was about 36 hours. Part of the first day, a little part of the third day, all of the day in between. It was about 36 hours that he laid in the tomb. It wasn't even a full 3 days. It was on the third day that he was gone from that place. He stayed a short time in that place. St. Augustine says, for he never rots. He dies. His soul separates from his body, and he is vere mortus. He is truly dead. He is truly dead, but he shall never know corruption. Everyone else that dies, they corrupt. His friend Lazarus died, and on the fourth day he stinketh. But this man shall rise on the third day. He shall not know even one drop of corruption, though he shall be surely, truly dead. So one thing that we consider on this day of the resurrection, the day of the victory of Christ, that there are many great mistakes that his friends make. They have a good thing in their hearts. They want to find Christ. But they make a stupid mistake. They think he's going to be in a tomb. You know, there are many souls today, and there are many souls as the church situation gets worse, who believe that Christ is dead. His work is dead. His work is finished. He's dead. The Satanists have taken over. The enemies of God have taken over. They've infiltrated the church. The bishops are enemies of God. The Pope is an enemy of God. The priests are enemies of God. And the vast majority of the faithful are enemies of God. And we find that, well, then where is Christ still in his church? Is he still there? He's dead. Then they go to look for him in the wrong place. Then when they arrive, the angel tells them, you came to find the person. He is not here. You shouldn't say you're a bunch of idiots. He told you would not be here. But he just reminds them, he's not here. You came to the wrong place to find him now. But he is risen. And he told you that he will meet you in Galilee. And there you will see him exactly as he foretold you. In fact, many of you will see him this very day. At the place of his choosing, it will not be here. You will not find him in the graveyard. At the place of death, yes, the cross. But in the graveyard, no. You will not find him. Will not be found. So they come to the graveyard. Was it a wasted trip? No. In order to comfort them, the angel says, look at the place where they laid him. This is now a holy place because it's a place where Christ's body was. It's a place where he walked, where he was laid. This is a holy place, but it's not where he is. He is alive, and he is out in the world. And he is visiting his Holy Mother. And he is visiting Mary Magdalene. And he is visiting the apostles in the upper room. And he is visiting disciples. Right now he's talking to disciples on their way outside of Jerusalem as they're walking to Emmaus. He is appearing to many, but he is not here. We believe we understand where God is. We believe we understand what he's going to do, but we don't. When we think he's dead, we think wrongly. He did die for a brief period, but he rose at the moment of his choosing, and he conquered and destroyed death. And he will not be found in the place of burial, though he will always be found at the cross, which is the place of death. When we have this holy sacrifice, we repeat the cross. We do not repeat the burial. We repeat the cross. At the cross, he defeated Satan. At the cross, he established his church. At the cross, he opened the gates of heaven. At the cross, he did all the wonderful things that have been done in the whole history of the world, and to each and every soul. So we find him at the cross in this holy sacrifice, not at the burial. Satan is buried in hell for all eternity. The damned are buried in hell for all eternity. But the just shall not know burial. And that is why it says in the Requiem Mass, Vita mutatur, non tollitur. For life is changed, not taken away. Life is changed, is not taken away. When we go to the place of death, we die in order to imitate Christ. We die to unite to him, but we shall not know burial. The word hell refers to burial. Hell means the place underneath, where you're buried underneath the ground, where you cannot see the light. Hell is in the center of the earth. And the entire universe crushes it. The entire universe smashes it. And every soul in hell and the damned angels are crushed by every atom and molecule in the universe, which push down and smash these souls in hell. And they are in the place underneath. And they will never be removed from that place underneath. That's burial. And we say a soul is buried in hell. Now Christ had a very brief burial, but the stone was blown away. The darkness of the night was turned into light. Death was turned into life, and he's gone. All we have is a holy place. where Christ defeated death and completed the work of the crucifixion. Now, the trouble of these holy women is they're thinking too much of death. When we are soldiers in a battle, when we are in the height of the war, it is not for us to think of death. It's for us to think of victory. That's what we're to think about. When they mocked the young maid, Joan, they said to her, "Your voices told you you're going to escape. Your voices told you you're going to have a victory." And these are priests speaking to her and bishops of the church. Where is your victory? How can you have victory in this prison? Say the Catholic priests who forgot about St. Peter, who was thrown in a prison. One day he woke up and walked out of the prison. So will the new Peter walk out of the prison. The wicked Pope one day will convert. And he will walk out of the prison. He'll walk past all the guards, all those Satanists that have surrounded him, the homosexual mafia, and all of the Jewish cabal, and all of the wicked souls that have surrounded the papacy over the last several hundred years, and especially in the last 50 years. And they have many, many strings and many ropes and many bars and many weapons to hold him down and keep him imprisoned in the Vatican. But one day, an angel shall come to him in sleep and say, "Get up, Peter, walk out." And all the guards shall not see him, and he shall walk out. And he shall consecrate Russia to the Mary, and he shall defeat all of them. He shall wipe them out. Because we can die in our church, but we cannot be buried. Cannot. And they didn't know that. They didn't know that. So Peter walked out of his prison, and the souls will walk out. They will rise, which is why we say with the truth of faith, "Whoever believes in me, says the Lord Jesus Christ to Martha, shall not taste death forever." You'll taste it. Whenever you are testing in Kentucky, we have all our bourbon testers. It's a good job to have. I want to get it someday. And the bourbon tester, all he does is take a taste. All right, that 55-gallon drum is good, or 53-gallon, good. Next, good. That'll be $100,000 a year. Not a bad job. But he just tastes, and he goes on to the next one, and he tastes, and he goes on to the next one. He tastes, and he goes on to the next one. And so it is with the Catholic with regard to death. Our Lord Jesus Christ says, "Martha, don't tell me about your dead brother. I'm not interested in your foolish tears. When Mary cries, all right. You cry, not good enough. I'm not interested in your tears. I want your faith. Do you not know that whoever believes in me shall not taste death forever? Believest thou this? Yea, Lord, I have believed." And now he's pleased with Martha. He just needs Mary Magdalene to show up a little bit later, and then he weeps. "And then he shall rise Lazarus from the dead." So it is with every soul that loveth God, every soul that has the truth of faith, every soul that belongs to Christ. We will taste death. But that's just a taste. We shall not know death. The damned don't need to worry about death. You know that today, there's a great wisdom. In a way, they always try to fix up these bodies. You know, they try to pump you, you got to put cotton balls in the mouth, then you got to paint the face, and then you got to put formaldehyde inside to remove the stink. Then you got to stick them on ice, plug them into a freezer, so that when everybody shows up at the funeral, it looks just like him. No, it looks better. Because the last time I saw him, he was looking pretty bad. Now he looks kind of cool. Looks better. He's on ice. Color is better. Gutted. He was too fat before. He lost a lot of weight. They gutted him. Looks better. And they try to cover death. But guess what? It doesn't work. Because one day electricity goes out. And it rots anyway. And when you look at that body, it still doesn't look right. That's cotton in the mouth. They gutted him like you gutted chicken. And they put formaldehyde in. That's how they try to prevent death. They want to prevent death. Why do they want to prevent death? Because the modern man knows when he dies, he's dead forever. He shall not taste death. He shall be in eternal death. But if we are with Christ, and if we have the true faith, we will never know death. Our life will be changed, not taken away. There shall be a brief taste of death. And that taste shall be to imitate Christ. That taste will be to go to the victory of our Lord Jesus Christ's crucifixion and his conquering of death. That taste will be the passageway, the door from this life into eternal happiness. It's just a taste. But whoever believeth in me, he shall not taste death forever. Believest thou this? Yea, Lord, I have believed. And Martha became wise. We must also become wise. But even though she became wise, she was one of the holy women that tried to go to that tomb on this morning, thinking that he was still dead. But he's not. He appears to many, but he does not appear at the tomb. You will not find him there. It's not the place. Bring your sweet spices, bring your gifts, bring them to the tomb. You shall not receive them there, because he is no place there at the tomb. He has conquered and defeated death. He's not to be found in the cemetery. So he's not to be found there. So it was recognized on this day. Unfortunately, the holy women make mistakes. The apostles make mistakes. The holy women, when they go to the tomb, they don't understand, and they don't know. But Christ will find them anyway. He will find them, not there at the tomb. He will let Mary Magdalene finally search somewhere else. She'll finally go out in the garden. She'll finally wander away from the tomb, and then she shall see him. St. Peter will wander away from the tomb, and then he shall see Christ. The apostles, disciples, would leave Jerusalem itself. They would run away from the very city, and they would find Christ before those that stayed there. So Christ will be found on the way to Emmaus. Christ will be found inside the upper room, be found in the garden, be found in many places, but not at the tomb. We will find also in the modern church. In the modern church, the faith is dead. In the modern church, that was the place he entered. They entered Vatican II inside of that tomb. They left the cross. They left the Holy Cross. They took Christ off the cross at Vatican II. But what are we going to do? We have to follow Christ. They brought him to the tomb. We just have to wait in the tomb until he comes back. You're going to be waiting for a long time. He will never come back to the tomb. And whoever is foolish enough to wait at the tomb for Christ shall wait forever and shall never find him. And that's why Archbishop Pfeiffer said, we do not go to these modernists who are at the tomb. They have killed the faith of Christ. They have put it, they have buried it. They are at the place of the burial. And it was interesting, it was not intended, but it's interesting that at the 2012 statement of the General Chapters, you pull it out and read it again. The 2012 statement, the public one, the one that they admit exists, they admit it both of them exists, but the one of July the 14th, 2012, the storm of the Bastille Day, Great Masonic Feast Day. It says, the priests of the society gathered at the tomb of their holy founder. Mason probably wrote those words. They know what that means. The priests of the society gathered together at the tomb of their holy founder and bind themselves in the 6 conditions. To these conditions, to get back with modernist Rome. They have spoken well. They are at the tomb of Archbishop Lefebvre. Go to his tomb. He's not there. He's in heaven. And when the resurrection comes, his soul's not going to go back. Where's my body? Oh yeah, it's in Icone. They're not going to meet up in Icone. The body will come forth out of that tomb as Christ's body came out of his tomb. And the body of Lefebvre shall meet him in the valley of Josaphat. It shall not meet him in Icone. It shall not meet him in that graveyard. It shall not meet him in that mausoleum. Where the priests of the society gathered around the tomb, and they said, we're there at the place of our Holy Founder. Yes, right now Pope Francis is at the place where Christ was in St. Peter's in Rome. He is not there now. They have buried him. You will not find him there until the Pope of Rome and the bishops and the priests and the faithful go looking somewhere else. Until they walk away from the place of the burial. They have to go away from the place of the burial. Christ is not buried. He knoweth not corruption. They know corruption. They live with it. Not just moral corruption, but the essential corruption of the faith. They live with corruption, and they rot. And the faithful souls, with a very small f, which are not truly faithful, the deceived faithful souls, quote-unquote faithful, they say, we have to follow Christ. We have to follow him. We saw his body come down from the cross. We can't stay at the cross. We can't stay at the cross. We've got to follow him to the tomb. And they buried him. We saw them bury him in the tomb. We did not see him come out. We have to wait here until better times. This is not right. This is not right. Where is Christ going to be found? When the priests of the church and the bishops of the church and the Holy Father returns to the faith, then they will go out of the place of burial. When they go out of the place of burial, when they finally walk away from the tomb, then they can find Christ in the garden. Then they can find Christ on the way to Emmaus. Then they can find Christ locked up in the upper room. They will never find him at the place of the tomb. And the angel said permanently, he is risen. He is not here. Finally, St. Mary Magdalene began to figure it out. He isn't here. I can't find him here. He is nowhere to be found, but I will look for him. And I will look for him somewhere else. And she goes to look, and Christ comes. She still doesn't even believe it's him. She thinks it's a gardener. But then she finds in the gardener Christ. She finds him. St. Peter finds him. The disciples on the way to Emmaus find him. The cowardly apostles find him. Even St. Thomas has to wait 8 days. But he also finds him. Because it's not they that find him, as the Council of Trent points out, it's Christ that finds us. But he will not visit us at the tomb. Because the essence of the church is not that Christ is buried. The essence of the church is that Christ died. And just like his physical body died, so his physical body also must appear to die. Of course, it cannot perfectly die like his physical body died. They will always be living members of Christ. But it will have a visible death. It has that death now. And the true church is not found in those Catholic buildings. The true church is not found in that Catholic robe. The true church is found in the hotel rooms. It is found in the sheds. It is found in the barns. It is found in the nursing homes and the funeral homes. It is found in the houses. It is found where those who have the faith are celebrating the true Mass, and those who have the faith who are attending the true Mass with the faith. It is found in those places where they do not even have the Mass, but they keep the faith in their hearts, and they don't give it up. There Christ is found. As our Sister Lefebvre said, where there is one holy, Catholic, and apostolic, there is the church. That's where it is. And it is still all throughout the entire earth. Though one soul here, another few souls there, but it is still everywhere in the world. He is not defeated. There is a visible and apparent death. Some souls say we just have to wait at the tomb. That is, we have to wait with these false teachings. We have to wait until the reunion takes place between the soul and the body. And if we stay in the tomb and we look intently at the rock, we will see the union of the soul and the body. No, you will not. No, you will not. Christ's soul returns to his body at the moment of his choosing, and then it will appear to his mother first, which is why in our particular crisis in the church, the resurrection shall happen with the mother first, which is why we have to have a most special love of the Blessed Virgin Mary in our hearts, a most special devotion, so that when Christ comes back in a visible way to his church, we'll be the first ones to see it, if we are truly the children of Mary. The day of the crucifixion is the day of the world. Every one of us meets Christ daily at the cross. And one aspect of the cross is that Christ is buried, and there is a taste of death. It's a brief period, 36 hours. And that is why our Lord says in the Christ of the church, imitating his own death, if these days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved. We often think that means everybody would die of disease, everyone would die of war, everyone would die of persecution, and die of physical death. But that is not what he said. No flesh will be saved. That is, everyone will be damned. That's the loss of flesh. To be buried forever. We are in such a time right now. The vast majority of souls who believe in God are in the state of mortal sin. The vast majority of souls are turning away from God. Not only those that are already against sin, but those that are supposed to be his friend. Therefore, to save the elect, these days shall be shortened. They shall be shortened. We don't know the day that it shall be shortened, but we are closer to that day every day. And Christ spoke a divine truth. And we shall not find him at the tomb. He's not at the tomb. Therefore, our Lord should be angry when he goes to the tomb, but not. They leave behind their myrrhs and aloes, says the Gospel of St. Matthew or whatever. They leave behind the myrrhs and aloes, the bitter myrrhs. They leave behind even the sweet spices. And they go to tell the world, we don't believe Christ rose, but we have strange news. The soldiers are gone, and the tomb is empty, and the stone is rolled back. And we met a strange angel, and he said to us, he is risen, he's not here. And the word spreads, and there was a change of atmosphere, a change of spirit, both in the just and the unjust. The just still do not understand, the just still do not believe, but there's a light in their hearts. There's a hope growing inside of them. And the unjust still also do not believe, but there's a terror growing in their hearts, an agitation. Note this terror in our enemies. In recent years, they are moving with a greater haste than they did before in trying to make the world more evil, because they know their time is running out. Lucifer knows his 100 years is about to come to an end. He doesn't know the exact year, he doesn't know the exact time, but he knows he's very close to it, and he's frantically worried. So there's an agitation in our enemies. There should be a hope in the friends of Christ. This hope has to be deep in our hearts. And even though we don't understand all the details of the holy crisis of the church, we know that God is totally in control, and that we cannot find him in the tomb. Right now, Bishop Filet is making a most grave mistake, betraying the Catholic faith, betraying Archbishop Lefebvre, betraying our founder of our church, the Lord Jesus Christ, the founder of our Archbishop Lefebvre, betraying them by saying we have to go to the place where Christ is corrupted, and yet the gospel tells us he shall know no corruption. We have to go to the place where he's corrupted and help Christ become uncorrupted. And this is a blasphemy against God. For Christ did say he shall die, but he never tolerated one moment of corruption. If you were able to visit the body of Christ on Holy Saturday, if you were allowed inside of that tomb, you would see a truly dead body of the truly dead Christ, but you would smell no putrefaction. You would see no decay, not even a little bit. You would see a total and real death, a true death, but no decay and no corruption. This corruption is in Rome, the corruption of faith. And we're going to say, well, the new Mass is promulgated legitimately. You can understand it in the right way, a corruption of faith. We're going to say that Vatican II can be understood in the light of tradition. As Father Giselle used to say, spray the light of tradition spray on it, and it takes the stink away. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It stinks. It's corrupted. The light of tradition spray doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. He is not at the tomb. He is risen. He is not here. Find him where there is the true faith. Find him where there is the gospel being preached without compromise. Find him where there is a heart that holds the whole faith and rejects the error of Vatican II and the heresies of Vatican II, rejects the error of sedevacantism, rejects the errors of modernism, which is found in them all, rejects all the false religions, and accepts only the one true Christ. And though he doesn't understand, when Christ says, "Whoever believeth in me shall not taste death forever, believest thou this?" we say, "Yea, Lord, I have believed. Thou art the Christ." And we repeat the words of St. Peter, "Will you leave me also, says Christ? Lord, to whom shall we go? Thou alone hast the words of everlasting life." Therefore the weak Peter shall find Christ. Foolish women shall find Christ. The Pharisee Nicodemus shall find Christ. The rich man Joseph of Arimathea shall find Christ. So many souls who don't understand shall find Christ. Saul of Tarsus, on his way to kill him, shall find him. "Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me?" Time for you to change. Time for my grace to fill you so that you must respond to it. Time for you to become blind to sin, blind to wickedness. Time for you to receive your sight again, but with a light of faith. This is that time. Time to go and preach my gospel to the whole world. It's hard to kick against the goad. The fathers tell us you can't kick against the will of God. It doesn't work. When the donkey kicks against the whip, all he gets is air. It's hard to kick against the goad. Doesn't succeed. We will not stop Christ's will from being accomplished. Cannot be done. Satan tried, and he's pretty smart. Satan tried, and he's very powerful, and he has many, many wicked devils under him, and many wicked men under him, and Satan failed. And so all others shall also fail. No one can prevent him from accomplishing his will. He goes to death because he chooses death. He comes back to life because he chooses to come back to life. He shall not know corruption because he chooses to never know corruption. So we must never accept that corruption of faith inside of our hearts. And then he comes back to all those that love him, even if they don't understand the details. He pulls their hearts back to him. And those that don't have the love of Christ in their hearts, they might appear to have it in their eyes, they might appear to have it in their face, as we mentioned earlier in the previous sermon. We read the death report, the last moments of that great apostle. He was in the garden. The last report is he gave him a kiss just before he died. Surely he was a good man, this apostle. The last word we heard of Christ speaking to him was, he called him friend. How is it that only a few hours later his guts spilled out? How is it only a few hours later he hung himself? The other apostles ran away as cowards. There's no report of Judas running away as a coward. He was a brave man. And the other apostles denied him. One cursed and swore that they did not believe in him. This one was called a friend. The report is he had a holy death. He was a good man. And yet, he had a net rope around his neck, and his guts vomited forth. And Christ said to him in a quiet voice, with a divine truth, it were better for this man had he never been born. Don't trust the medical reports. Don't trust the great reports of men about the death of so many souls. God judges the hearts. God judges the reins. He knows which one shall be buried forever, which one's guts shall vomit forth, blood blast forth, and which one shall come back to him and be saved, such as a wicked thief who will become a saint. God knows. He has chosen each one. And he said, I shall not lose one of my sheep. Not one shall be taken out of my hand. Not one. So a great victory is upon us. God knows the hearts. We don't know the hearts. We must work at our salvation in fear and trembling. Not go to the tomb to find Christ. Go to the cross. When he rose from the dead, the sign of the cross was still on his body. He had nail, the place of the nails was still shown in his hand. The place of the spear was still shown in his side. He would never leave that cross. Never. That's the safe place to be. But the tomb, no. Not the tomb. Many souls say, I go to the corrupt church down the street. I go to the church that says St. George Catholic Church, says Immaculate Conception Catholic Church. I go to the corrupt church. Is Christ there? Have they changed their teaching? Are they following the gospel? Or are they trying to say, we must go to the tomb? We have to go to the tomb. It's what we have to do. Let's just face it. It's a fact. Christ's body has been removed from the cross. And so if you stay at the cross, you won't find him. We have to go to the tomb. There's no other choice. These are fools, and they stay at the tomb. Not everyone that goes to the tomb shall find Christ. But those that have the right heart and spirit, they shall be given the grace. They shall find him. So some that make the mistake of going to the tomb, Christ shall see through their mistake, and he shall bring them to himself. Others that go to that same tomb, they shall never find him. But the ones who do find him, they'll have to step away from that tomb. Find Christ reunited with his body at the cross. At the cross. When they cases in some of the great victory